Professor Wolff, I just had a real quick question, just being as brief as possible, that I know you favor taxing the wealthy, but since that would not that would require Congress, if I'm not mistaken, do you think that it would be a valid course of action, whether or not Biden would actually do it, to simply cite the 14th Amendment stating that, they cannot default on their debts, and so he could just raise the debt ceiling and then basically dare the GOP to take him to court over it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are actually a variety of ploys that have come up. That's one of them. The $1 trillion platinum coin, I don't know if you've picked up on that, it's another gimmick to try it. Look, I believe that if even Mr. Biden, compromised by his entire life as the senator from where corporations register, but if even Mr. Biden, with his baggage, if he did what I once was in a position to urge the people around Mr. Obama to do, travel around the country, talk about the injustice of our tax system, I think you could mobilize the people of America that would make the congressmen and women shake in their shoes. If a bill then comes up and all the attention of the media is, here's a chance. Let me give you just one example. In many countries, there are property taxes. We have property taxes in the United States. These are sometimes called wealth taxes. Here's how they work in this country. It's done at the municipal level. The federal government does not tax property, nor do state governments. Local governments tax it. If you own a house in a community, you will know that once a year, the tax assessor lets you know you owe X percentage on the assessed value of your land, or of your home, or of your business property, or of your automobile, and so on. So that's a tax on your wealth, on what you own. And keep it separate in your mind from taxing income. That's a separate matter. If you have a house, for example, you pay a property tax to the town in which the house is located. But if you get a rental, because you rent an apartment in that house, that's an income you have to pay income tax on, both to the state and the federal government. So no one should be surprised. Double taxation, we are all subject to double and triple taxation. It's not a special situation. But here's a kind of property that pays no property tax: stocks and bonds. No one taxes that. Well, if you're wealthy, if you're poor, you have nothing. If you're in the middle, you maybe own your own home and your car, so you then pay a property tax on the value of your home and the value of your car. But if you're really among the rich in this country, the 10% that own 80% of the shares, then you own the bulk of your wealth in the form of stocks and bonds. So to have a property tax system that exempts stocks and bonds, but hits the car, the land, the house, that's an attack on the middle class that exempts the rich. There's no earthly justification for this. And I believe a president, any president, could be Trump, for example, who went around the country and said, hey, if we do this, and I had a dozen others I can give you that are just as gross. Yeah. If we do this, we don't have to raise the ceiling. We don't have to increase the debts of this country. And we go a big step towards less inequality. It's a win-win for the mass of people. It's a lose for those at the top.
I wholeheartedly agree. And to my knowledge, President Biden has been traveling the country, although I believe he was traveling to Manhattan, where he visited with a private equity mogul. And so, the fact that he's not willing to use the bully pulpit, like you're saying, and making this front and center, I can't help then but to suspect that the people that he, answers to are some of the same people that
absolutely
actually do want to cut the spending and which might explain why he's so hesitant to actually utilize the tools at his disposal, like you're saying.
Yep, I'm personally convinced of it, and I don't mind telling you.
Yeah.
Even though I come from my parents were refugees from Europe, and I grew up with a family that had no money at all.
Right.
It's a long, complicated story, but I went to school at Harvard and Yale and Stanford, and because of that, I know all these people. The circle isn't that large
Right.
of people who go to these, and I know they know better.
Yeah.
They might quarrel. They would tell me about how it isn't realistic, that the people in Congress only, all of which is true, but really beside the point. They wouldn't dispute what I'm saying. They can't.
Yeah.
They
Right.
make this stuff up.
Yeah.
And we were taught this stuff even in the classroom. In a sense, you don't want to teach people complete nonsense, and we weren't. We were taught reasonable stuff.
Yeah.
We use it in different ways.
Well, it almost seems like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like they're saying it's not realistic. Like if enough people in power have that mentality, then yeah, it's not realistic.
That's right. It's exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of dishonesty wrapped in there, because they ought to be honest and say, I don't have the courage to get out there by my lonesome and be the lone voice, or even be one of two or three. I have to make a living. I want to be able to have dinner with my friends, and whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. But they don't say that. Instead, they use that language. It's not realistic. Well, as you point out correctly, if people like you said it, it would become realistic.
And I just wanted to say how much I view you as one of those lone voices. I just value you being willing to take pick up the flag and carry it and to say these things, and being able to speak to it from your personal experience, like you said, learning the same things, and you can speak to it in a way that very few others can, I think. So I just really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the very last thing, and I will maybe save the full explanation for next time, because I know that your time is limited, but am I correct here in saying that, on a separate topic, we have a system where Congress votes and approves spending on things, but for some reason then later on has to then approve whether or not they're going to honor the spending that they previously approved?
Yes, that is the way the system works. You vote for something, and then later you vote whether or not to appropriate the funds for what you vote. And the purpose of that is to allow the horse trading among the politicians to shave money off of it, to deflect it, to amend it, and it allows them to be able to go to the public at the next election and say, I voted for, support for pregnant teenagers, even though in the appropriation, the party whip got them to vote down that portion of the money. So they ended up giving so little money that pregnant teenagers aren't going to get anything out of this, but they don't have to admit it. And when
they get their cake, they have their cake and eat it too.
Exactly. When they get attacked by their opponent for shortchanging pregnant teenagers, no, I voted for it, right? And who's going to do the detail work? Right. Maybe a good reporter will do it, and it'll be buried.
Or it just sounds so wonky. It's like, well, you voted for it first, but then you didn't vote for the appropriations of it. And people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right.